Right. So, I wake up this morning. I stayed up entirely too late. It's part of it. I'm feeling pretty old today. There's just no other way to put it. There was. I remember what it was like to be 20 or 21, 25, even. You know, when you're younger, no aches and pains, no constant body aches and stuff. You know, at least not really to speak of. You might have an ingrown toenail or something silly like that. You battle for months. But it's not like this. Like if you ask me to point to where it hurts, and hurts is a strong word, right? Because I'm not saying it's like, my body. It's just point to where you're less than optimal. It's hard to do. I can definitely point, to my rib cage area. I can point to my hands actually hurt a little bit, I think I have a little bit of arthritis maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. But it's just like this funk that you just feel all over your body, and it gets worse. And for me, it started at around age 35. Was it actually 35? Probably. I just know around 35 I started feeling older. I say older. You know what's annoying? When you definitely feel older than you did yesterday, and so you kind of equate it to, I feel old. And then some older schmuck walks in the room and they're like, you feel old? You're like 35. I'm like 40. You ain't old until you get 40. Or I'm 40 for some arbitrary number. And they're like, you ain't got no idea. I'm actually thinking of a chick. The chick, it's a lady that did this to me or whatever. And I'm like, I just laugh, because they're trying to, you know what they're trying to do. At least I think it do. There's no malice in this. This is just office banter type stuff, But it's like, I feel like an old man. Because I do. I feel like an old man. I feel old. Both mentally and physically. You don't feel old or whatever. It's just like, give me a break, man. Compared to what I was, the way I was, damn Snooky, I'm fucking old. I'm fucking old. Okay. So one of these days, some young whippersnapper, they're gonna say that crap to me. And, you know what? I'm gonna be like, yeah, you old. I ain't gonna tell them different. I'm gonna be like, yeah, you might be old. It's the physicality. It's the way you feel. As to why I feel old in the head, you know, I never thought I'd get to the point where I'd derive. It's demonstrable, though. You know, like, I play less. I don't know that I play less video games. I do still play a lot of video games, but it's different. The types of video games I play are different. The way I play them is different. And the thing that motivates me to play them is different. Put it that way. You know? It's like that. And I will say that I remember when I was young, I'd get so excited about things. Like, you had the ability. I can get excited about things sometimes, but I don't actually think it's the same level of excitement. For instance, you hear about such and such video games coming out. What's a good example of a game that I was like super excited about? Well, damn it, I can't think of one. Skyrim was exciting the day it dropped, but it's not like I watched it come out. Damn it, what's a good one? We got Morrowind was like a pleasant surprise. I wasn't really following or anything. It just kind of popped onto my plate, and I was like, dang, this is fucking awesome. Oblivion, I was excited about it. And I was young. Diablo 2. There we go. Diablo 2. And there's a bunch of other ones too. For some reason, I'm just drawing a blank. But I remember, you know, like that anticipation you feel for a game when you know it's coming, right? And they tell you all about it, and you're like, man, this is gonna be freaking awesome. And then the game comes out, and you play it, and you're excited about it. You're like super excited. And you're able to just like dedicate, like, you don't even have to know the game's coming out beforehand. Like for instance, at Morrowind, I didn't follow Bethesda at the time. I didn't give a crap about Bethesda, right? I didn't even, like, yeah, I'd played their games before, but like I never even knew the name of the company. Just like King's Quest, I don't know. I guess it was Sierra Online. Yeah, you just play their games, but you don't really know who makes them, and you don't really think about it, right? Like Sierra Online, I do know who that is, but it's, you know, okay, but I don't ever think about it. Hey, they're defunct now, I guess. Holy crap. You get so excited, and it's like when you get things, it's like, dude, X-Wing, TIE Fighter. There you go. That Wolfenstein, 3D, Doom 2. All of these games, man, I remember when these things came out, I'd be like, wow, I'm like super into these games. I could talk about them for hours. especially the TIE Fighter. And well, I mean, X-Wing is the game that prepares you mentally. You're like playing X-Wing and you're like, dang, this is so awesome. Wow, look at the face I'm making right now. That's crazy. And then TIE Fighter drops and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like more X-Wing. It's like an updated X-Wing. And you're like, this is amazing. And then you play TIE Fighter and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome. And that excitement level is just amazingly with you while you're playing the game. So this is the coolest thing, and it's the dumbest thing. So when TIE Fighter came out, I remember very vividly, my cousin got a job and didn't tell me. My cousin Luke got a job. Didn't tell me. Summer job. So I'm over in, it's summer in Tennessee. And, you know, every summer I would go up to Tennessee and I would just hang out for like a month. Sometimes a month and a half. And, Mike always had the coolest computer. It was like the coolest thing. That's Luke's dad, my Uncle Mike. And so Luke always had like the coolest games, the coolest computer. As a kid, man, he always had like a very charmed existence. And I guess he took it all for granted. I guess that's the bane of having like a charmed existence. He had material things out the wazoo. But whatever. Anyway, me and Luke fell into this pattern where it's like he'd play TIE Fighter, and then when he got off, I would play TIE Fighter, and then when I got off, he'd play TIE Fighter. And so we were kind of like on, shifts. Except that, it's Luke's house, Luke's computer, obviously Uncle Mike's house, Uncle Mike's computer, Luke's his kid. He's got first dibs on all the things. And they had the joystick, it was awesome. Well, Luke got a damn summer job, and so he didn't relieve me one time. And the computer's sitting there in the kitchen, so you just, stand up, reach over a little bit. You're at the refrigerator. You can just reach in and grab you something. Some potato chips, whatever. Or just whatever. A block of cheese. The soda. There was one point where Luke came to get me. He was like, hey, it's my turn. And I turned and I'm just like... And he's like, dude, the fuck happened to you? And I'm like, what? What? And I got like tunnel vision. And my eyes are bloodshot. And anyway, he's like, dude, the hell happened to you? And I'm like, I don't even understand what he's saying. Like, my brain can't comprehend the words coming out of his mouth. I'm just, I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how long have you been playing? I was like, well, 8 hours or so. Remember, it's like last when you got up last. And he's like, no, dude. No. You know, that was 3 days ago. So good playing that damn game for 3 days straight, day and night, for 3 days. A solid 72. Oh man, it might even been a little bit over 72 because it was like midday, you know, and I would have started probably like, yeah, man, and I had no idea. Like, that game had me so excited, so enthralled in its power, so engrossed that I didn't even know. So then I go and I try to stand up, and now my brain is starting to comprehend, you know, like, so my bodily awareness is returning to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I have one of these body things. I'm not just some mind floating around in space. I have physicality. I am not in a video game. I'm not in a virtual world. So then I stand up and I'm like, I am going to bed. And I get dizzy, and oh man, it was so funny. I love thinking about that because that's the excitement I'm talking about. And I had that I did have that the X-Wing and TIE Fighter, X-Wing Alliance, I think what it is, or Star Wars Alliance, whatever the heck it was. That series of flight games probably was peak excitement for me. And granted, that was a long time ago. That was 90s sometime, you know. But oh man, I thought those games were so awesome. I do remember Elite Dangerous, when one of the things when Elite Dangerous was being talked about. Like, I also played Freelancer. Freelancer came out, but I played that with a mouse. And it was built to be played with a mouse. And that game was amazing. But it didn't scratch the same itch. I mean, it scratched a really strong itch. Don't get me wrong. That game was amazing. But at the end of the day, my mouth watered for joystick stuff. How many joysticks do I freaking own? Holy crap! I got the one that occupies all the desk space, and that's got the big old throttle. It's an X56 HOTAS, I believe it is, whatever. It's got the throttle on the left, and it's got the joystick on the right, and it's got like buttons everywhere, and you can do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. And that's the big boys. That's for the big boys. Oh yeah. And then I got this one right here, and this is just a compromise. If I'm really feeling it, like if I'm going to play Elite Dangerous, I'm going to pull out that X56 because it just makes you feel powerful. Just you have all the things. It just feels good, right? I got the virtual headset too, the VR headset, and I love that stuff. It's great. I remember Elite Dangerous when that stuff came out. They released it in beta, and it was like the first flight sim. The time they were talking about Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous, and they were both kind of being kickstarted at roughly the same time. But Elite Dangerous, they did their Kickstarter, and then they built something you could play, and it was like immediate. And you were like, dang, that's awesome. And I remember Elite Dangerous. Oh man, that had me excited because I was like, oh. The return of the flight sim. The return of the space flight sim. They're coming back. The genre's revitalizing. It's coming back. I mean, I'd played Space Engineers and some other crap. I'm not knocking Space Engineers. I love me some Space Engineers. Alright? But the flight mechanic, that you don't play that game so that you can fly around in first person mode and do all kinds of crazy maneuvers and try to, like, have that experience. You play that game for more of a, I want that. I want a simplistic version of that in tandem with being able to walk around on my ship and like watch something blow a hole in the side of it, and I'm like, oh, well, that's a problem. Let me just fix that, And then you design your own stuff, and you build your own spaceship, and you design the mechanics of the spaceship and stuff. Space Engineers is about that. Space Engineers is a different experience. Elite Dangerous is the embodiment of, I'm going to get in my spaceship, and I'm one with the spaceship. I control that spaceship. I have my instruments, gauges, I have my canopy, and I have my IDE. I have the things that my hands go on that let me have control of this ginormous craft. This shell of metal and fire that wraps around me in such a way that I can fly around in 3D space with mechanics that allow me to drift backwards and shoot behind me, and then spin around and turn the engines back on and speed off this direction while drifting left because now somebody's trying to, strafe along behind me. So I'm just like, oh, turn off the flight assist, start spinning around, track them in the thing, but I'm still going that direction. I'm still going in that direction. Oh, look, I'm going this direction at full speed. I spin the thing around, cut the engines, pivot, with like micro thrusters, such that I'm facing the backwards, and then I cut the engines back on, and I just complete 180. I got to do a 90-degree turn. Okay, well, I got to first I have to go in a straight line this direction. I have to cut the engines, drift, turn the ship, not 90 degrees, because I have to correct for drift. I have to point myself more like 45 degrees. Nope. 180 degrees. No. 145. Some degrees. I was going this way. I have to point myself this way. Not this way. I was going this way. I point myself this way. That way, it won't be a perfect 45, but it'll be like, well, maybe it will be 45. I don't know. You gotta do crazy stuff, and it's really fun. Because you're doing that, you're using that to dodge things at the same time that you're also trying to keep the front of your ship pointed at things so that things stay in your field of view, because if you can see them, they can't see you. That's great. And you're taking all kinds of, there's all this, it's like really complex geometry, but you're just doing it like instinct, and you're just like, I know where the blind spot is. If they pivot this direction, I need to go this direction, which means the most easiest way to do that is to use my thrusters in this direction and this and that direction. Oh, I got to spin around faster than they do, so I got to pull up, and then I also got to push down, so I'll increase the wide arc, but, because you're using your thrusters, you're using your up thrusters, but you're pivoting up, which means you're going to, maybe in that scenario, you might do a tighter turn, but in the other one, like if you put more distance, you can actually close that arc faster because you're putting distance, which means you're there's a word. When things fade off into the distance, they move slower. Parallax. You're increasing the parallax. You're increasing the effective parallax? I don't know how you word that. But anyway, it's like a thing. So you might get them in your sights faster, but you're also putting some distance, which means you got further to shoot. Yeah. Anyway, it's all kinds of stuff. It's all kinds of stuff. Oh man, I just love me some flight. Some 60 OF, 6 degrees of force, flight sim mechanics with all of that complication. It's just so cool. Keeps your mind, you just, yeah. You can get in the zone in that stuff. I don't get in the zone as much as I used to either, though. That's the thing, is I don't think my brain works as fast as it used to. You can tell just by the way I talk. I can tell I'm becoming more like my dad. Sometimes I've looked back at these videos, and my dad, a good example of how my dad would talk, he'd be like, now, back in my day, the cows, the grass. And then, let me tell you, the spivers down the road, yeah, they got that white car, he got the spiky hair, he has that red shirt that he wears sometimes on Sunday, and, spivers, his grandfather was, what, I think, anyway. Well, anyway, and he's just like, dude, get on with it. I'm looking at these videos, I can see the same speech patterns in myself, where it's like my brain is like mulling over, it's like gears grinding. As my brain trying to recollect, like, oh, parallax. Oh man, oh, that's so silly. So funny. Getting older, man. Getting older. So was my dad quick-witted when he was young? I don't know. Well, I don't think he was dumb. He wasn't even dumb at his old age. It's just the way he talked, his brain meandered, and then as he got after the injury, man, it just got way bad because he was always drugged up, hopped up on fentanyl or whatever. Getting old. I tell you, the most excited I can get for games now. I do remember I was excited. Actually, no, X4 I wasn't excited about. And the reason is because X Rebirth sucked so bad. That's a game about flight sim stuff. But it's like, that one's like flight simmy, but it's like not Elite Dangerous, but it's still good. It's great. But then you have this whole empire building kind of like strategy game kind of built on top of it as well, which is fucking amazing. Bannerlord. That was a game that I was super excited about. But even on that one, like my excitement, I say I'm super excited about it because I know the younger me would just be like, think about it every day, right? But instead, I'm just like, yeah, I'm like super excited about that. That was about the enthusiasm I had. I'd still look on the website and stuff or whatever, but it wasn't like every day. It was more like once a week or maybe once a month. Sometimes I'd forget and be like once every 2 months, whatever. But that game's been in development for like 10 years. I mean, it finally released, and it was still in it. Yes, that game is everything. It is amazing. Bannerlord. Mountain Blade Bannerlord. Amazing game. And the predecessing games were amazing as well. Yeah. Man, I tell you what. Well, I can say as I've gotten older, also emotions don't seem to flood me quite as much either. I'm far less emotional than I used to be. Uh, I I would also say that like it's probably just jaded. Just when you're young, you're naive, so you allow yourself to feel more because like it's there's no danger. Like I love this thing, I'm gonna love it unabashedly and whatever, right? Whereas like as you get older, it's like maybe you've been disappointed a few times or maybe a lot, and so you'll be like, I'm excited, but I'm cautiously skeptical. I'm skeptical. I'm judicious. I'm not gonna commit fully any heartstrings to this thing because I've been let down a lot. Sometimes I get let down a little bit. Sometimes I get down a little lot, and extraordinarily rarely I'm like not disappointed in any way whatsoever. And it's always a good idea to temper your expectations too, because then you're not judging the game too harshly. If you overhype this some kind of thing in your head, and then you're just like, it's gonna be amazing, and it's gonna be fart flowers, and then you're going to the game, and maybe it is an excellent game. It's perfectly fine the way it is, right? But because it was hyped a certain way, No Man's Sky or whatever, like you know, you're not feeling it because you had this other idea in your head. And it's a good idea to just approach the game for what with an open mind and let the game be itself, whatever. But you learn that with thing. I think that affects your overall ability to get excited about things, because you don't let yourself. So maybe that's the emotional side of getting old is you don't let yourself be controlled by your emotions as much. Maybe that's the other side of it too. I don't know. The physical pain, no, that's real. That's real. That's real shit. Yeah. All right. I think that's good enough. Later.